Good morning everybody from a very sunny Birmingham summer row. It's quite an appropriate name, isn't it, that, although it is only the start of March. Well, I'm here today of course to take the Flixbus service to the 020 all the way down to London Finchley Road. And yeah, I really want to find out how competitive it is versus the train. Well, it certainly beats the train on price, but what about times? Well, it's timetable to take 2 hours and 25 minutes to get down to the capital, but it's a Sunday morning, so I reckon with the traffic hopefully being a little bit quieter, we can easily beat that. Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Come with me, we'll get on the coach and I'll see you in a bit. Yes, my coach today was the Flixbus 020 service, which basically runs between Birmingham and London. There were 10 scheduled 020 services per day at the time of this video, although 2 had been cancelled today. Other services will also get you down to London, such as the 021 and the 023, but yeah, this is by far the most frequent for Flixbus. Scheduled departure time for my service today was 10:45, and here it was, arriving 10 minutes before departure, YD73 FPE, a 2023 Yutong, operated by Fernhill Travel of Winkfield, a place I've never heard of before, but I later found out it's between Windsor and Bracknell, just south of Legoland actually. Driver checked tickets and helped with some of the luggage loading, and I was on. A luggage entitlement with Flixbus, by the way, is 1 times 20 kilograms in the hold and 1 times 7 kilograms carry-on, so to speak. I don't know how rigidly this is enforced, to be honest. If you've had any issues with luggage allowance with any coach company, I would be really interested to hear of the experience in the comments below. And I hadn't booked a seat today. Flixbus automatically allocated me 8A, which, as you would expect, was on the left facing forward window seat. As per usual, a few people turned up with just a couple of minutes to spare, and because of this, we left a couple of minutes late. No problem though, the coach was fairly lightly loaded. What was conspicuous by its absence was any recorded safety message or similar announcement from the driver themselves. Other than that though, first impressions were good. A nice, clean and modern coach. I do like these Yutongs. It'll be interesting to see how they're doing in a couple of years' time, I guess. And Summer Row as a departure point for Flixbus, well, despite being a bit of a walk from the city centre and connecting railway stations Moore Street, New Street and Snow Hill, is a good departure point for the coach, as you're basically straight out onto the Aston Expressway, down to the Gravelly Hill interchange and the M6. And sitting on the left hand side here you have some fantastic views of the iconic Fort Dunlop. Constructed in 1916, the tyre factory once employed 10,000 workers, but it closed in 2014 with production moving to Germany and France. And now it looks like a giant travel lodge, doesn't it? But yeah, this is merely an extension, with the original building currently housing office and retail space. And by the way, if you could hear gunfire, well, the guy in front of me decided to start playing a game on his phone with the volume turned up full. I mean, have these people got no awareness of their surroundings? A lady in the seat opposite told him to use headphones, which was good to see, but you know, she shouldn't have to do that really, should she? Now, talking about seats, let's have a look at these Yutongs in a bit more detail. Well, in front of you, you have a single USB port built into the seat back, a flip down table with cup holder and slots for your tablet mobile device, and beneath that, a small pouch. There's a few marks about, but yeah, legroom, well, it was a bit tight in my opinion. I'm only about 5'7", so if you're a lot taller than me, then you may struggle, especially on longer journeys. And there's a retractable footrest if you like those sorts of things. And to the side here you have more power options in the form of a conventional 3-pin power socket, and beneath that the seat recline lever. There was nobody sitting behind me, so I had a quick go with the recline, and I was pleased with the amount that you get. The seat itself was comfortable enough, with the headrest being just about the right height for me. The padding overall was sufficient. All seats, as you may have just seen, are fitted with 3-point seat belts, and there are retractable armrests for added comfort. Above your head are individual air vents and reading lights. There's also a handy button to press if you fancy a cup of tea. You won't get one, not on this service, but maybe you could pretend you're back in the 1980s on a National Express Rapide, or somewhere in the Southeast Asia with a hostess trolley service. Overhead racks were more spacious than some coaches I've seen, and apart from this bit above the toilet, there was plenty of room for coats and carry-on bags. Heading towards Coventry, I decided to try out the Wi-Fi. One word for this: excellent. It connected quickly with no fuss or sign-up registration procedures. YouTube streamed smoothly, and other social media loaded effortlessly. Well done, Flixbus here. The availability and ease of use for passengers is a real benefit. And by the way, I do apologise for not showing you the Wi-Fi screenshot in its entirety. I've got a new phone and I was still trying to work out how to use it on this trip. True story, my old phone was stolen by a seagull in Llandudno. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either at the time, but there you go. I think once it had decided it wasn't edible, it just dumped it on a roof and that was the end of that. It's probably still there, to be honest. Anyway, we reached the M1 after 37 minutes. No hold-ups so far, but our progress would now be slowed by roadworks and speed restrictions, as the motorway at this point makes the transition from normal to smart. Right, the onboard toilet, well, it ponged a bit, but I'm not too bothered about that. What I am bothered about is the lack of liquid soap again. This is becoming all too common on coaches in my recent experience, not just Flixbus, but others too. I did get cold running water from the tap, and there was some toilet roll left, not much though, to be honest. Overall, it was clean enough, but are they checked at regular intervals and restocked where necessary? They should be, but, well, yeah, you tell me. And with 38 miles to go to central London, we hit more roadworks and speed restrictions as we approached Toddington's services. The roadworks, well, they were only for a short section this time, but the overhead gantries were now controlling our speed. 50 miles an hour to 60, then back to 50, then back to 60 again. Well, I've driven in these situations many times, and yeah, I find you really have to concentrate to make sure you're sticking to these variable limits. And sometimes I find myself spending more time looking at my speedometer than the actual road in front of me. Anyway, let's return to the point of this video. Can Flixbus compete with the train on this route between Birmingham and London, and vice versa? Well, price-wise, I paid £6.99 for my ticket, and that was booked just over 2 weeks in advance, and that's basically £5.99 plus your £1 booking fee. Now, like I said, I didn't book a seat, and I'm glad I didn't, because I estimated there were approximately 20 people on the coach, if that. Now, that said, it wouldn't particularly bother me if there was somebody sat next to me for a specified journey time of 2 hours and 25 minutes. When I looked at the rail fares for the equivalent date and time, they were coming out at £19.50 at the cheapest, and that was with Avanti West Coast, believe it or not. And to be honest, I don't think that's a bad price in itself for a journey time of just 1 hour and 56 minutes. It's actually cheaper than the slower trains, which were taking as long, if not longer, than the coach. So, yeah, if the coach wasn't an option, would you grumble at less than £20 for a one-way fare from Birmingham to London? I wouldn't. And considering the aforementioned journey times, well, it's about half an hour quicker using that fastest train, isn't it? And don't forget, the train is going to be taking you all the way to Euston, whereas I'm having to get off at Finchley Road, and then I still need to take a tube from there into central London. That's additional time and extra cost. But it's worth noting that this coach service is the ultimate express. I mean, it doesn't stop anywhere. So in that respect, if it gets into Finchley Road early, it will do. The time of day and day of the week is also a factor, and I would imagine that traffic conditions are taken into account when working on the schedules. Maybe once roadworks are completed and speed restrictions are lifted, we could be looking at a sub 2 hour journey on this route. There are lots of variables, aren't there, and ultimately it's really up to the passenger as to whether they value their time more than the cost of the journey. As you know, I'm always looking for a bargain, and I think Flixbus do offer value for money on this route. I'll summarise in a little bit more detail at the end of this video, but at 12:47, exactly 2 hours into the journey, we'd made it as far as the delightful Brent Cross shopping centre, just off the end of the M1. And at this point we hit traffic. The first time on this journey, to be fair, but nevertheless it is, along with roadworks, going to be the biggest issue with any coach service. I mean, you can have the best coach in the world, can't you? And at the end of the day, you're going to be stuck in the same queue of traffic as everybody else. Not too bad though, as we exited off the North Circular Road onto the Brent Cross flyover and the A41 Hender Way, which would take us down to the Finchley Road. Remember, this was a Sunday lunchtime. I'm sure it's a bit different on a Monday morning. Anyway, arrival time into Finchley Road was scheduled for 13:10, and at this point we had a reasonable chance of getting to our stop before that. And although it's not really central London, I don't mind getting off at Finchley Road when I'm on a coach, because unlike Victoria Coach Station, the Underground is right next to you, and I'm normally heading down onto the tube when I get to London anyway, whether that's with the coach or the train. It's a bit like Golders Green and National Express really. Unless you're connecting onto another coach service, what is the point in fighting your way through the streets of central London for another 20 to 30 minutes, only to walk another 10 minutes to the nearest Underground station? Yeah, Finchley Road or Golders Green, when coming from the north, they are easily the best options here. So we arrived at Finchley Road at, does anybody want to guess the time? 13:01. Yes, so 9 minutes early, and a total journey time, if you consider we left a couple of minutes late, of 2 hours and 14 minutes. That's not too shabby, is it? I got my stuff together and made my way off the coach. No luggage for me to collect today, as with most of my trips I was travelling fairly light, and I stepped out into the London afternoon and some glorious sunshine. That doesn't last long at Finchley Road, unfortunately, because to get to the Underground station you'll soon be disappearing down the fairly grim Finchley Road underpass. Now for some people that's maybe the first real impression they get of the UK's capital city. Right guys, the delightful Finchley Road underpass. I've just got off the Flixbus at the coach stop just there. Right, I'm going to head to the hotel and sum up my findings there. I will see you in a short while. Right then guys, at my hotel, London City Airport Travel Lodge, would you believe? What did you think of Flixbus? Well, first of all, we did get there early. 9 minutes early, wasn't it, in the end? So it took 2 hours and 14 minutes. And at the end of the day, its timetable to get into Finchley Road at 13:10. It got there and it delivered. It got there early. So, yeah, absolutely no complaints there. And what do you think about the coach compared to the train? Well, I think the price I paid was pretty good. I think there's probably just as much value, if not more, in the kind of walk-up fares. So, for example, tomorrow, if I was looking at getting down to London from Birmingham, well, Flixbus, they're going to cost £8.49, that's right, including the booking fee, for the same trip that I did today. The cheapest train I could find was going to cost £17, and that's the slow train. And that takes over 2 hours and 10 minutes. pretty much the same time as the coach. Would I do it again? Yes, I would. I would definitely do it again. It was comfortable. The coach, one of their fairly new Yutongs. There's quite a few of those in the Flixbus fleet now, isn't there? It's clean and tidy. A couple of issues with the toilets. Wi-Fi was really good overall, and I think the coach was excellent, really, and certainly value for money. Well, let me know what you would do in the comments below. Would you prefer the coach to the train, or the other way around? It's always that kind of money time trade-off, isn't it? Maybe thinking about it, there is more value in the longer distance coach services, but then again, it's going to be cheap to get up to somewhere like Glasgow or Edinburgh, which is going to take a long time, isn't it? So you've got to weigh it up for yourselves and make a decision based on your own personal circumstances. Right, I'm going to head out for a bit. It's a lovely afternoon. Maybe do a bit of plane spotting, actually, as you do. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on another adventure soon, I'm sure. And as always, guys, cheers for now.